Hi everybody, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I am going to go through the notes today and then you're going to get the homework and you can work on that. I'll answer all questions tomorrow, so if you're feeling lost, don't worry. So here is, we're starting exponential equations. So we are going to talk about linear versus exponential. So for linear, here is the same amount per unit of time. So it changes in like 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. So it adds by 2. So here you have a repetition of repeated addition. So these are your two most common linear equations. And like this one was, let's see, we have, I'm still getting used to this. So you started at 5 and it went to 4 or went to 6 at 4. So it increased by 1/4 every single time. So you add 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Here on the second graph, you started at 6 and it went down 2. So you subtracted or added -2 each time, each unit. So we added 1/4 here. Whoops, that wasn't a 4. And then, or we added a -2 if we're going to talk about just adding. Otherwise, it's the same as subtracting. Okay? All right, so that is linear. We've talked about that for a long time. Here we have exponential. So your equation is ab to the x. So it's repeated multiplication. So you multiply by 2 each time, you multiply by 4 each time, and so on and so forth. So our two graphs, we started, let's see, it's easier to do a 2. So it went up 2 and we went down a certain percentage. So your graph would go, it looks like that. This would be decay, and the second one would be growth. So that's exponential growth or exponential decay. You are multiplying, so in this case, your b would be less, well, in between 0 and 1, so it would be a fraction. Your growth, b is greater than 1. So you're multiplying by something greater than 1. So let's do an example here. Suppose radioactive isotope decays so that the radioactivity present decreases by 10% per day. So first we start with 20 kilograms. So your equation, we start with 20, and you are going to multiply, it decreases by 10%. So if you decrease by 10%, that means you are multiplying, so this is going to be 1 minus 0.1, which is 0.9, to our x power. So let's say it's to the power of 0. So we started with 0. So here's our x and our y. So if we start at 0, anything to 0 power is 1. So that means we just start with 20. And now we take our calculator. And make sure you do this so you know how to punch it in. 20 times 0.9 to the power of 1. And we get 18. And then you do 20 times 0.9 to the power of 2. And you get 16.2. We'll just do one more. 20 times 0.9 to the power of 3, which is 14.58. So it goes down by 10% each time. Okay? Now your graph, here I'm going to, so I have 1, 2, 3, and a 0. So I'm going to be at 20. So that's my 10. And I have 15 and 5. So I'm going to graph 0 and 20, 1 and 18, 2 and 16, 3 and 14. So it's not a big graph, but it works. Okay? So that's going to be decay, because this number right here was in between 0 and 1. So it decayed, so it went down. It's decreasing. Okay? Alright, so now here, let's figure out what rate the function is changing. So what we're going to do is you need to take 125 and you're going to multiply it by something, and that equals 155. Right? That's how we multiply something and we get the next value. So how to get that, we can move past third grade and actually put an x in there. So x would equal 155 divided by 125. So I take 155 divided by 125, and I get 1.24. Well, let's see if that works. So I take 155 times 1.24, and I should get 192.2, and I do. So each one I multiply, and you could just double check, 1 times 1.24, and I get that value. So the rate is going to be 1.24. So it increases by 24%. So that's how we find our rate. Alright, so that was it for that one. Alright, so here we have another rate problem. We are going to multiply, see what is being multiplied to get to the next term. Okay? And we are going down, so your rate should be less than 1. Okay? Because you want to multiply by a fraction or less than 1 for each term. So we have 900, and you're going to multiply it by something, and it's going to equal 675. So x equals 675 divided by 900, and we get 0.75, which it is less than 1. So my rate would be 0.75. So I want 75% of the previous term. So 75% of 900 is 675, and so on and so forth. So it is decreasing by 25%. Alright, so this last one, I want you to pause it and see if you can figure it out, and then push play, and then see if you got it right. Seriously, push pause. Alright, so you should have done this. So you want to figure out that. So you are going to take x, and you're going to take 622.863 and divide it by 621. And you should have gotten 1.003. So it's going to be increasing by 0.3%. Do we see where I got that? Increasing by 0.3%. well, I could just say 0.003 each time. So it's going up 0.3%. So because it's a 1 there, that means that the 1 you're multiplying, so we have a 6.2, 621 again, but then we're adding the 0.03. So that is the notes. We are finding the rate for each table. All right, good luck.